It can't come any sooner if you're a fan of Syracuse women's lacrosse. SU's burning up lately, riding a 9-game win streak that's vaulted them to number 2 in the national polls. You can taste the postseason, it's so close. But before that, the Orange have to close out their regular season slate. When the Cuse take on number 6 Boston College in the finale, it'll be playing for more than just pride. The Eagles bounced the Orange from the tournament last season, and Kayla Trainer still looking for win number 1 over the team up on Chestnut Hill. Strap in, because we're breaking this matchup down right here on Cuse Countdown. It's Cuse Countdown, and we're inside the CitrusTV studios, and happy you could join us for another episode today. Myself, Stephen Sklar, as well as Liam Griffin and Skyler Wilkes will preview a hot matchup on the Hill between number 2 Syracuse women's lacrosse and number 6 Boston College. The number of top matchups we've had on both the men's and women's lac side this year, outstanding, guys, really it is. Between the two of them, this is the 16th ranked contest all season long for either team. And it's possible this one is the most exciting of them all, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, you've got a red-hot Orange team as well. BC coming off a loss, even though that may be the case. This is a historic rivalry in women's college lacrosse, Skyler.
Back-to-back seasons, finishing the regular season against each other. I mean, this is about as good as it gets in women's lacrosse.
It absolutely is.
And for Syracuse, it couldn't be coming at a better time. They're riding a 9-game win streak going into this one.
Yep, 9 wins. You're starting to pick up wins against the best competition in the country, including North Carolina, a team that's had your number in years past. You're coming in facing BC, a team that has had the best of Syracuse lately, had a good time.
Saying having the best of Syracuse recently, you can say that again. I mean, Stephen, it's been ugly recently.
Absolutely. And every ACC game is an important one, but as far as the Syracuse-Boston College rivalry goes, this is one the Cuse have every reason to want just a little bit more. You can throw around a term like ancient history when talking about all-time battles between two programs, but some of their classic matchups are really anything but ancient. Perhaps the most notable rendition of this rivalry only happened back in 2021. Let me take you back, set the scene. It's the national semifinals. The Cuse had just dominated the number 2 seed Northwestern. Boston College, on the other hand, narrowly dethroned top-seeded North Carolina en route to its 4th consecutive title game. However, the first 3 all resulted in losses. Meanwhile, the Orange owned the season series advantage, winning 2 of their 3 matchups that year. But it's not like that matters when it's the postseason, and frankly, it didn't seem like the Eagles cared very much about the season series. They defeated the Orange 16-10 to claim their first national championship in program history. But, Liam, this wouldn't be the last time these two teams held a classic, would it?
Spoiler alert, that wasn't the last time BC would break SU's heart. With Kayla Trainer at the helm in 2023, the Orange won their first 15 games, setting up a date with the Eagles at SU Soccer Stadium. For a moment, it looked like Syracuse caught the energy of the national champion men's soccer team. It jumped out to a 6-1 lead in the first quarter and built the advantage to 12-6 early in the third. Boston College, as Eagles do, clawed back in, but Maddie Baxter beat the buzzer at the end of the quarter to give SU a 4-goal lead with 15 to go, but it was all downhill from there. BC rallied all the way back, and the game stood tied at 16 with little time remaining. An Eagles attack, McKenna Davis found the back of the net with 81 seconds to go, and that was all she wrote. Boston College spoiled Syracuse's perfect season in a 17-16 game, marking Coach Trainer's second loss to her former employer in as many tries. But Skyler, barely a month passed before these two teams met again.
Liam, they did play just a month apart down in Cary, North Carolina, and SU had a chance for revenge in the NCAA semifinals. Kayla Trainer's squad came out of the gates firing on a 3-0 run, but BC had an immediate response. So once it reached halftime, the game was tied at 4. Fast forward to the end of the third quarter, the Cuse had a 7-5 lead with under a minute and a half to go. Oh, so close. Then the fourth quarter arrived, and it was all Boston College. When it came time to take the lead, the Eagles relied on attacker Kayla Martello. And by the time it was all said and done, BC won 8-7 and advanced to its 2nd straight national championship.
And when it's all said and done, I mean, who knows what's going to happen after this matchup we have today, but the last those three that you see on your screen, obviously, all going in favor of Boston College. Syracuse has a lot of demons to spell when they take on the Eagles this time around. And, well, you can put all the past history behind you for the time being. All that matters is the here and now. And this rendition of a fairly recent rivalry features a ton of star power. And if we focus on the SU side of things, their biggest star is undoubtedly Emma Tyrell. She's leading the Orange in goals, and more importantly, she's as consistent as they come. No less than 3 goals in every game but 2 this season. Liam, how badly does the grad student need a performance like that in order to help the Orange take down the Eagles?
I'd say it's a pretty big deal, Skyler. Emma Tyrell, player with 49 goals on the season, including 24 in her last 5. And she has something that a lot of players on this team don't, and that is experience against the Eagles. She was there in 2021 and there for both the heartbreaking losses last year. If SU is going to go far, Skyler, Emma Tyrell must be on her A game.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of obvious, Liam. She is your best player, so you kind of hope she's playing on her best, which isn't how she started this year. I mean, it has been really impressive to see Emma Tyrell really pick up the slack. 35 goals in the last 8 games, and she's added 11 assists to that. And you mentioned the experience against Boston College. She has 16 goals in about 5 career games against the Eagles. That says a lot, especially when her sister Megan and Meg Carney are all out the window. She's the oldest player on this attacking unit. It goes a long way when you have that experience and that versatility that Emma Tyrell brings to the table.
Well, you might already know a name like Emma Tyrell, but someone you might not have heard of is Peyton Rowley. And if you haven't, well, you should probably learn it because she's come up huge for the Cuse in recent games. The junior's notched 7 goals in her last 2 games alone. And this might be an easy question for you, Skyler, but what has her spark already added to such a potent offense?
Yeah, you said it there, Stephen. It's a pretty easy answer. I mean, she has done everything for this offense, and especially, you look at Emma Ward, right, as such a great dodger, such a great passer. Peyton Rowley's been phenomenal, right on the crease, around GLE, getting open for passes, and doing a great job putting it in the back of the net. She has 7 goals in the last 2 games, Stephen. That's as many as she had in her first 2 years on the Hill. It has been a transformational year for Peyton Rowley, which is a really big surprise because when you lose the Meg show, who's going to step up? I don't think anyone would have said Peyton Rowley, but she has done a great job, and she's done it with a lot of talent around her.
Well, Skyler, you mentioned it. She kind of came out of nowhere, but she did have a hat trick against Cornell 2 years ago. Kind of fell off the face of the earth in 2023, but has come back bigger and better than ever as well. But these last 2 games, Pitt and Clemson, this is not a knock on the Panthers or the Tigers, but Boston College is just another step up. Will Peyton Rowley elevate her game around the crease and GLE to the next level against the Eagles, Stephen?
Well, now you have 2 great goal scorers, but somebody else that has to elevate their game is the anchor on the other side of the ball. And Syracuse has that in goalie Delaney Schweitzer, a 2023 unanimous All-American. She's starting to get back to her senior year form in these last couple of games. She set a season best in save percentage both against Cornell and Pittsburgh. Liam, it must be nice for the Orange to see this kind of change happening this late in the season.
Well, this isn't to say Delaney Schweitzer was bad at the start of the season, Skyler, but she certainly wasn't at the same level that she was during her senior season, and ended that year with a 17-3 record in net, picked up 3 early losses right out of the chute, but has picked up her game as of lately, hasn't had a 10-plus save game since Maryland, a game the Orange wound up losing. Still solid numbers, 12-3, GAA under 10, but you'd like to see those save numbers go up.
I don't think she's been particularly impressive at all this year, Liam. You look at last year, it's hard to replicate an ACC Goaltender of the Year award like she did last year, but at 50% save percentage a year ago, now just over 40%. That's not ideal at all. She ranks in the middle of the pack amongst all ACC goalies. Delaney Schweitzer has all the talent in the world. I mean, she's a much improved player from when she first arrived in Syracuse from USC, but the numbers still aren't there, and which such a good defense. I think she's kind of being carried a little by Katie Goodale and Casey Benoit.
And you could say that there's plenty of pressure on Schweitzer, plenty of pressure on the grad student, obviously, to play well in this upcoming game against Boston College. But I don't think she faces nearly as much pressure as the head woman faces. Kayla Trainer, she just can't seem to get over the hump that is Boston College. The Eagles have taken her down every single time Kayla Trainer has played them as the head coach of SU. That includes the regular season and the postseason last year. Now, in this all-important matchup, she has a chance to kind of get that monkey off of her back. So, Skyler, what does this one mean specifically for Kayla Trainer?
Well, it means probably just about everything. I mean, yeah, you already have the ACC regular season title clinched up, but something you didn't mention, Stephen, is that she was on the coaching staff when Boston College beat Syracuse in the national championship a few years ago. So she has a very close connection with Acacia Walker-Weinstein and this entire program. So the fact that, 2 times in a row, right, they've had multi-goal leads and saw it slip away to finally get over that hump, like you mentioned, Stephen, could be so big for her confidence and for this team's momentum going forward.
Yeah, Kayla Trainer, 45-12 in her career at Syracuse coaching-wise so far. That's not too shabby, but 0-3 against Boston College. And despite runs to the Elite Eight and Final Four in their first 2 seasons, it feels like they've kind of underachieved. You went out with a whimper against Northwestern 2 years ago. Then you, quite frankly, blow it against Boston College in both the postseason and in the regular season finale. Could have had an undefeated campaign, but big-time prove-it game for Kayla Trainer. Can you beat your former employer?
Well, that's what you need to know about the Orange, but we're going to tell you everything about the Eagles, too. But that's coming up right after this short break. Cuse Countdown rolls on after this. Welcome back inside the CitrusTV studios. Going around the horn one more time, Stephen Sklar, Liam Griffin, Skyler, Wilkes here to break down a big matchup between Syracuse women's lacrosse and Boston College. But before we take a deeper look into the Eagles, the last time they took the field, they got their wings clipped by the Virginia Cavaliers. In a close one, BC fell 13-12 to UVA. Surely a heartbreaker, but only its first loss in the last 5 games. Still a relatively hot Boston College team hosting the Orange this evening, but things maybe slipping away after that game just a little bit, Liam?
Yeah, just a little bit. Remember, a Syracuse team that knocked off UVA in Charlottesville, the same place BC lost to UVA. And I don't really want to say it's a bad loss because Virginia is one of the best teams in the country, but BC fell behind 8-4, but never really recovered. Their goalie, Dolce, just 5 saves to 13 goals allowed. We talked about Kayla Trainer's rough stretch. We'll talk about the 2 of them again in a moment. SU has to take advantage of the bad BC momentum.
Well, Boston College tied the game up with under a minute to go and then took the lead, and then Virginia tied the game up with 2 seconds left and then took the lead and won it all with 30 seconds into overtime. So just a heartbreaking loss. Syracuse well familiar with those overtime tough losses. So Boston College, they're going to be hungry to fight back.
At the end of the day, it's just one loss, and there haven't really been a lot of those for the Eagles under head coach Acacia Walker-Weinstein. Since 2017, this program leads the country with 119 wins. Boston College, simply put, has been a powerhouse since she took over in 2012. So you could say this is just another game for her in the squad, but Skyler, is that what this is, just another game, or is this more of a bounce-back spot?
I mean, given the history over Syracuse, you probably want to think that it's just another game, but obviously you want to finish off the season strong going into ACC tournament play, and this team's definitely going to be an NCAA tournament team. But Acacia Walker-Weinstein has done nothing but win. Like you mentioned, Stephen, this team had been to 1 NCAA tournament appearance since between 1992 and 2011, and haven't missed the tournament since. She's done everything but win. I mean, it helps when you have one of the greatest players of all time in Charlotte North, but Acacia Walker-Weinstein was just named the U.S. national coach. She's definitely one of the most respected and greatest coaches in college women's lacrosse.
She has turned Boston College into a women's lacrosse titan. You see it on your screen, 19 of the last 20 NCAA tournaments, including a 3-peat as an assistant when she was at Northwestern. She led BC to her first ever title, or to the program's first ever title in 2021. If she's not the best, she's definitely one of the best, Stephen.
Yeah, the leader of the flock, Weinstein's got herself a pretty good offense that only helps add to her win total. It's third best in the nation when it comes to scoring and tops in the ACC, led by Rachel Clark, Kayla Martello, two top 50 scorers in the country, as well as a plethora of other elite talent. So individually, there are some great players, but when they come together, it makes for a borderline unstoppable unit, Liam.
Yeah, thank you. 5 players, Skyler, on the BC roster with 28-plus goals, including Rachel Clark, Kayla Martello, Emma Pinto, all topping the 40-goal threshold. Skyler, that is not something you see often from one player, let alone when you have 3 players. That's not even mentioning McKenna Davis, who's one of the best passers in all of women's college lacrosse, and Belle Smith, a veteran midfielder as well. Third in the country in goals per game, just behind Florida and Northwestern, numero uno in the ACC.
Yeah, the top 5 in just about every single scoring category you can think of. And Rachel Clark, that's just something, Virginia transfer, that's something that Acacia Walker-Weinstein has done really well, right? Charlotte North started her collegiate career at Duke and then came over and had a legendary career, and that's what Rachel Clark seems to be doing. Belle Smith, who is one of the best players in the ACC since she got on campus in Chestnut Hill, has kind of been almost an afterthought in this Boston College offense. That's how deep they are, but that's also how experienced they are. So much veteran presence, which really says a lot when you're going up against a younger Syracuse defense, more or less.
Well, this contest features more than just top goal scorers. I already mentioned Delaney Schweitzer, 2023 first-team All-American before the break, but leading the defense for the Eagles is sophomore Shea Dolce. She may not have the same accolades, but she doesn't let in a lot of goals, and that's the number one most important thing when it comes to being a goalie, right? BC's top 5 in scoring defense and average goals against, meaning she's doing her job well. Liam, what do you make of this micro battle inside of the bigger battle?
Yeah, Dolce got the best of Schweitzer last year, Skyler. SU's netminder, not exactly, both times, not exactly great performances. In game 1, 10 saves, but 17 goals allowed. Game 2, just 3 saves. Only let in 8 goals, but it was the national semifinals, and BC only needed 8 goals to end SU's season.
It's pretty crazy that Shea Dolce is the first freshman last year for Boston College to start in net since 2016. She's pretty good. It's not just because she's from Connecticut, but she has a great athleticism to her game and has such a great feel for the game in between net. So athletic and just does a phenomenal job seeing the ball well. And the Virginia game was a little bit of a bump, right? But Shea Dolce is just a sophomore, has an extremely bright future ahead.
Well, adding to the cross-team matchups, we'll also see both Katie Goodale and Sydney Scales, 2 defensive stalwarts, take the field together again. The latter of Boston College was the Defender of the Year in 2023, and she made the midseason All-American team. The former of Syracuse has been very dominant in her own right. So, Skyler, why don't you tell us a little bit more about the one from Syracuse?
Stephen, there's really good defense on both sides. First from a team perspective, and then individual players. You have Katie Goodale for Syracuse and also Sydney Scales on the Boston College side, Liam.
Yeah, Sydney Scales, an excellent on- and off-ball defender, Skyler, regardless of the position you're looking at, including that of the free position. So let's roll the tape. We'll head to a game being played in BC football's practice facility. Look at that. What? That happened a little fast. So let's slow it down again. It's a free position opportunity for Virginia Tech. Look at that. Sydney Scales gets her stick in just like that. Ball finds the stick of another BC defender. Skyler, that's not easy, but she made it look like it.
Yeah, you can say that again, Liam. Made it look a whole lot easier than it really is. That's something Katie Goodale does really well. Second in the entire ACC in calls turnovers, and she's played 2 less games than the leader, so I really think she deserves the title. But let's look at this matchup against Louisville early in the first quarter, running behind Cage, and she just puts her stick over the offensive player's head and checks the ball out just like that. Great feel for where she is on the field, and she's just been such a great veteran presence for the Syracuse defensive unit, causing turnovers, so aggressive, not afraid to throw her body on the line. Steven, these 2 players are huge difference makers on the defensive side of the ball for both teams.
Great breakdown, guys, but we're coming up on another break. But be sure to pack your duffel bags because when we come back, we're going camping. I don't know what that means, but don't go anywhere.
I see you mobbing over her. Let's go. Let's mob. Let's crawl. Let's crawl. Let's crawl. Hey, yo, we mobbing. Come on, girl. Let's crawl. Hey, yo, let's crawl. Hey, yo, let's crawl. Hey, let's crawl. Hey, yo, let's crawl.
Welcome back to the CitrusTV studios. Steven Sklar, Liam Griffin, and Skyler Wilkes. We're not at the desk anymore. We're over here at the wall because we're going to play a little game, a new game we call... I don't even know what it's called, but we're going camping is the way that the game is going to be played. So essentially, we've got a game. There it is, Countdown Campout. That's the name of the game. Refreshing my memory. Thank you to the wall. But we're going camping. And, you know, the Syracuse women's lacrosse team is coming with us, and they've got to bring some things with them. So I'm going to give you a couple of items, and you're going to tell me who's bringing that item. Make sense?
Absolutely.
I got
it. So the first item that we have, essential when it comes to going camping, it's a tent, right? You need a tent when you go camping. So Liam, why don't you tell me who's bringing the tent?
I'll tell you who's bringing the tent. Someone that needs protection, Skyler, and that would be Delaney Schweitzer. You mentioned it earlier. She's not having the same season she had in 2023. And it's really a full team effort to protect her as well. You need your scorers to score. You need Katie Goodale, Casey Benoit, among others, to get in to the offensive player shooting space legally, of course. She needs protection more than any player on this team. That's really the case all the time with goalies.
You need players to score, and that's exactly what Emma Tyrell has done. 35 goals in the last 8 games, 49 on the entire season. She's having a special year. Kayla Trainer said she's a Toraton finalist for a reason. Not there quite yet, but she's had that type of year. You got to protect your leading scorer at all times, and Emma Tyrell is just that type of a player for Syracuse, and they better get some really high-grade tents around her.
And you don't just want to bring a tent when you go camping. You need a couple of other items too, like this right here. This is a fire starter. So
oh, don't light it in here, please.
I promise you, I wouldn't even be allowed to, even though I want to. But so we need a fire starter. Somebody's got to bring it. Somebody's got to be that spark plug against Boston College. Skyler, I'll start with you. Who's it going to be?
I said one Emma the last time, and I could say Emma Muchnick, but I'm going to say Emma Ward this time because the Emma dilemma, right? It's an entire scenario that defenses have to face. Not as having as elevated numbers as she had a year ago, but the assists are still there and the scoring is still there. She's such a dangerous weapon. Defenses are drawn to her when she dodges from X, has that bulldoze dodge in her repertoire. Such a dangerous player, but Peyton Rowley has done a lot of the spark plugging recently, Stephen and Liam. Emma Ward can be that option to either dish Tyrell or dish Rowley or dish someone. Emma Ward needs to pass the ball a little bit more and jumpstart this offense.
When I attended Syracuse Women's Lacrosse's game against Loyola with our wonderful women's lacrosse beat reporter Rahil Jaswal, I got the opportunity to sit down on Kayla Trainer's press conference. She talked a lot about draw controls, how they were not great towards the beginning of the game or the end, but all right towards the middle. Who spurns that unit? That would be Kate Mashevsky. Mashevsky, a player that did not see the field at all against Boston College last year. Her season was done by the time the matchups with the Eagles rolled around. I'm not saying she would have been the gravitas difference, but Skyler, they were 1-goal games. Might they have swung a little differently if Kate Mashevsky was healthy? She is a veteran and a leader. Despite the injuries, she needs to step up big on Thursday.
Yeah, in that regular season finale, Ryan Smith had a field day at the draw circle for Boston College, and that's why, you said Kate Mashevsky there. I'm rocking with Kate Mashevsky as well because she is such a dominant player when you look at it on the draw circle, does everything so well and leads the ACC in draws per game, and this team needs her to run through the offense well and give you possessions, and that's why Kate Mashevsky is going to be doing a whole lot of this come ACC tournament time.
So does that mean she's your flashlight too? Because that was going to be the next object. You guys are holding them right there. But somebody's got to bring the flashlight, and that means they're going to be leading the pack and kind of shining their light for the rest of the team to follow. Liam, who's your flashlight?
Well, my light is shining right now, and it is going to be shining on Emma Tyrell come Boston College, come the ACC tournament, come the NCAA tournament. I talked about it earlier. She is one of, if not the best players on Syracuse, and she needs to be up there in the ACC along with the Chase Boyles, Izzy Skanes, Ellie Maceros, Rachel Clarks of the world. That is the standard she needs to be held to.
And you're not wrong, but Kate Mashesky is, like I said, one of the best draw control specialists in the entire country. You know, she holds the program record for a reason, and it's not just because she's been here for 5 years. She's just a really dominant player, and her strategy is so great. And Syracuse, similar to what we saw in the men's lacrosse team last year with face-offs, that's what Kate Mashesky brings to the draw control circle this year.
Well, that was fun, but we're almost out of time here on Cuse Countdown, so we'll take just one more short break, and when we come back, we'll give our keys to the game and plenty more. Stick around, you're not going to want to miss the end.
Most party fouls are pretty dumb. But if you decide to drink and drive underage, you could lose your license and your freedom. Underage drinking and driving. The ultimate party foul.
I don't remember how it started.
Go to that.
Oh boy.
Our back and forth. It always came back. You probably don't remember what you told me,
That was perfect.
but I heard every word.
It's a beautiful day out here. Sunny today with light breezes, giving way to clouds in the afternoon. We could see some light precipitation to moderate precipitation later on, followed by powerful storm-like conditions. 90 miles per hour winds are expected. Authorities are asking everyone, stay indoors.
Come on, that's it. Let's go.
And welcome back to the CitrusTV studios once again. Last time around the horn, Steven Sklar, Liam Griffin, and Skyler Wilkes. We've packed a lot into this show between Syracuse, Boston College, that fun game that we played that's called Countdown Campout, which I now know and I will never forget. But one thing we want to take a look at is what's going on across the rest of the sport and take a look at the women's lacrosse national rankings. We've obviously got two in this contest alone. Syracuse up at number 2 and Boston College down at number 6, sort of in a tie with Virginia, which is a little bit odd, but they're 6 and 7 interchangeably. Anything stand out to you, though, in particular, Liam?
Yeah, the big thing that stands out to me is that after tomorrow, the only 3 teams Syracuse want to play it on this full screen are Michigan, Florida, and Yale. So you're getting 6 of the 7 of the top 8 if you include yourself. You've beaten Notre Dame, you've beaten Loyola, you've beaten Virginia, lost to Northwestern and Maryland. Every team has shown vulnerability at some point. I think the Wildcats are the clear-cut favorite because they have this game, but Skyler, it is anybody's game.
Oh, you can say that again, Liam, and it really is crazy how also much of those teams are in the ACC. That's how competitive Syracuse's conference play is. And you look at that, right, in the conference slate, they've beaten almost any team they've had to, undefeated so far, besides Boston College. There's just so much competition and so much equality, right? Like there's no Syracuse being undefeated like they were last year. Northwestern, sure, sits at the top, but they've even shown a weakness. And Michigan, 14-1, you're coming from a gritty Big Ten. Syracuse hasn't seen them yet, so who knows what could happen come postseason.
And now I should mention too, Loyola just lost to Penn. They were ahead of Boston College in the rankings, and Maryland sitting right behind Boston College, just won. So there could be still some changes, a little bit of movement up in that top 10 of the national poll. And as we start to wrap up the show here, we want to get into one last thing before we go, and that's the keys to this one. So Liam, I'll start with you again. Your keys to this game between Syracuse and Boston College.
Steven, I'll actually let Skyler go first on this one.
Oh, well, thank
okay,
you. And,
sure.
Well, I just want to say, while my key is kind of important, but we'll get to it in a bit. What's more important is that it's the final show here at CitrusTV for both Steven and Liam, or not you, it's your final Cuse Countdown, I should say. But it's your final show here, Steven. Both of you have put so much energy and time into this station and have done such tremendous work, and I feel really grateful to have worked alongside both of you. But more back over to the keys for this game is just stay composed here. Syracuse, the last 2 games against Boston College, had multi-goal leads, 6 goals in the regular season finale and 3 in the NCAA tournament, and both of those slipped away. Boston College has had the upper hand. Can Syracuse play a complete game and play a complete game all the way to victory.
If Syracuse wants to beat Boston College tomorrow, you have to force BC's secondary scorers to beat you. Eagles have 5 players with over 28 goals per game. Steven, that is how you beat Boston College. Shut them down.
And my key to this one is look on the bright side. I think we spent a lot of time talking about this rivalry and how one-sided it's been. Syracuse still the number 2 team in the nation, and you'll get a chance to see them take on Boston College later today. Be sure to check us out on CitrusTV at YouTube for all our other content, and goodbye.